Welcome to the CEO Project Podcast, where Jim Schlexer, author of the best-selling book, Great CEOs Are Lazy, and the founder of the CEO Project, provides ideas and tools to help CEOs of mid to large-sized companies grow and optimize their businesses. Now, let's get started with the show. Welcome, everybody, to the CEO Project Podcast. I am Jim Schlexer, and I am your host. Well, today we have an interesting guest. Keri Ford is a former award-winning creative director, and I guess you can't say former because they're not going to take the awards away from you or anything. CEO and founder of Elevate with Keri, a global luxury brand transforming leadership for top female leaders. As the High Holy Council for Women in Business, she uses advanced nervous system regulation, somatic strategies, and peak neuroscience performance to help clients achieve unparalleled success. Recognized as a top 100 visionary, Keri empowers her clients to expand their potential while cultivating greater peace, profit, and productivity, which all start with peace. So that's super cool. And most importantly, Keri and I went to the same undergraduate school. We're both University of Delaware Blue Hens. Welcome, Keri.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Jim. That was such a little God wink. I love that in the universe of all things. Just so many synchronicities.
There aren't that many of us out there. So, we got to stick together.
That's true. I've actually, that network from UDEL, I don't know if you have found it to be just as powerful, but it's been really great to keep in touch with alumni.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
what got you in, what's the journey from there, partying at KA to
How'd you know I was partying at KA?
Because everybody partied at KA. To what you're doing now. What was your journey? What got you to this place?
Yeah, I thought I had it all figured out, as we all do in college. And it was like, this is what I'm doing. I went through the visual communications program. Maybe you were even there when Ray Nichols was there. He's one of the best professors I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
You either love him or you hate him. And I found him inspiring. And I set out on a journey to become an art director and creative director in New York. And I achieved that. And I got there and I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm not helping people. And arguably I wasn't. I was, working a lot on luxury brands like Belvedere Vodka, the brand launch of Heineken Premium Light, dare I date myself.
Mm-hmm.
And not really helping people. And I felt this deep stirring and I didn't really know what that was. And so that led me to fitness and it led me to personal training out in Los Angeles. But that was just one piece of the puzzle. And from there, I went on to help people with intuitive eating, working through, food issues. And then I stumbled on somatic work with the birth of my son.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really what put me in this path with helping women and leadership and working with the body and nervous system responses as the strategy. So it's been a long road to get here, kind of a collection of tools the whole time, but somatic was that work was arguably the thing I was looking for the entire time. And until my son had some sensory processing stuff that was showing up in school and affecting his ability to focus and even labeling him as the bad kid, I was like, wait a minute, like he's one of our future leaders, and how can I empower him rather than make him wrong for who he is? And that's really where this came in. So
nice. Well, for those of us that are uninformed, can you explain what somatic is and what the sort of the therapeutic and, what is the diagnostic and therapeutic element of that?
Yeah, so it is considered a therapy.
Yep.
I'm trauma trained as a practitioner, which means I've gone through a program to help people literally rewire their nervous system and renegotiate trauma. And what that means is, there's a quote I love, and I can't remember who says it, but it's that if we don't heal our past, we bring it into the present and call it destiny.
Yeah.
And right, like how often we like have these beliefs or these stories, and we're experiencing more of the same. And that then becomes our fate and our future. And so until we change that on a body level, we will continue to relive out the same psychosomatic loop. So it just means the mind-body connection, literally working with the nervous system. And I would say something as simple as, let's say you've been in a car accident and it was with a blue car. And now every time you see a blue car, your body tenses up. But in that current moment, you're not at risk of a car accident. The blue car is maybe across the street, not even near you, but your body is responding as if that could happen in any moment. And that's how you know there's trauma living in the body.
Right. Well, and I think that fight or flight response that our nervous system has sort of
Yeah.
instantaneously is just not healthy to be living in that state, right?
Yeah, chronic stress. And it's a
Yeah.
huge part of the mental health issue here in the States.
Yeah. Also, number one limiter of lifespan. Stress is
Hmm.
the number one limiter of lifespan. And so that's just not a great thing. So, and you made me think about repeating your history. It's like people that date the same profile of people and it never works out. And you're like, why does this never
Yep.
work out? Because you're dating the same people with different names, right?
Yep. The one denominator is you, right? Same
Yeah.
with leadership, right? You're hiring and firing the same team members, same story, maybe even different jobs, but same stuff coming up. Another
Yeah.
indicator.
So let's say, and I love the thing about hiring the same people or dating them, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It kind of crosses over. How do you help people, A, understand that? And then how do you get them from there to another place? How do you help them with that process?
Well, most of the time they have an awareness. Like I
Okay. So
work with
they're
some.
like, it ain't working right now.
Yeah, they're
Whatever.
like
Okay.
something, I'm hitting a wall, like I'm
Yeah.
smart, help me figure this out. Like I'm an intelligent woman, I'm at the top of my game. They've got a lot of pressure, like silent struggles really behind the scenes that come with top tier leadership. And they're
Hmm.
like, "What the heck am I missing?" Like I know that they even know that they're probably the common denominator of the issue, but they can't seem to outwork their limiting belief. And then that's
Hmm.
where I come in. So they're aware of the gap. I might just name it. I might walk them into having some more words for the experience. And then we start in with the access point in the nervous system so that we can rewire the gap.
Okay. Access point in the nervous system. What is that?
Yeah. Yep. So let's go back to the car example. You
Hmm.
see a blue car, your body tenses up, right? In the nervous system, we're working with the language of sensations.
Hmm.
If you are a dork like me and you read PubMed, you know, documents and research papers, they literally liken it based on focus groups, learning somatic work, like understanding the fluency of your body, like learning a foreign language, like
Okay.
Italian,
Hmm.
or like it's a whole new fluency. So we're learning the language of the nervous system and of the body. And so I might say, okay, as you see that blue car, what happens inside your body?
Hmm.
Oh, well, my heart starts to race. Great. There's an access point. It's a sensation. Or they might say, I start sweating and I get flush, heat. Awesome. There's a sensation. So different access points. Now we're working with the language of the nervous system, which is
Hmm.
under the hood.
So is this like NLP where I can change my body state and therefore change how I feel about something? So if I recognize the heartbeat, I can then address it, and then that changes how I think about things.
Yes and no. I would say
Okay.
it's most like EMDR or neurolinguistic programming, um, but it's less conscious. Like I think NLP, you're still in that 10%, right, of what you're consciously aware of. This
Mhm.
is so unconscious that sometimes, with clients and even as the student myself, when I'm sitting in sessions, it's like, how the heck did we get here? Like
Mm.
it's wild. The nervous system tells a somatic story. So once we access a singular sensation, what happens next? Your nervous system will reveal. So it's a little bit less willpower based or conscious desire based. With NLP, you can kind of walk yourself into a new story, right? This is a little
Hmm.
bit less conscious, I would say.
Got it. And so
Mhm.
is it through repetition that your nervous system ends up responding differently to these scenarios? Is that the goal?
Yeah, the goal is a little bit over a long period of time. And we call that
Mhm.
titration
Yep.
because safety creates safety.
Yep.
The biggest, and you may have heard Gabor Mate, but one of the biggest you know, uh, prerequisites, if you will, to addiction is avoidance. And it's a coping strategy. In many ways, people need the addiction, but it's not about the addiction itself. It's about their inability in terms of being with discomfort or an emotion or something that feels too big inside the
Yep.
nervous system. So what do? They avoid it and it comes out with external addictions.
Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting. And if you don't deal with the avoidance issue, you're going to have trouble dealing with the
Yeah.
addiction, right? So,
Absolutely. And so most people are addressing the addiction, but it's beneath that. It's the root
yep.
issue.
Got it.
Mhm.
So you bring this idea over to leadership. So talk to me about how you do that.
Yeah.
So I get sort of how it personally might affect me, but now I'm in a leadership position. How do you help somebody in that position using this line of thinking?
Yeah. A lot of different ways.
Hmm.
First of all, conscious communication, right? Conflict resolution. Two big areas as a leader. You're leading people.
Yep.
You are front and center. There's nowhere to hide. Like the responsibility falls on you.
Hmm.
Also, if you have, let's say, a team of people that are underproducing or people that are kind of playing out. You brought up the dating thing where it's like,
Mhm.
okay, same scenario, different people. Like, what the heck? It's
Yeah.
the same thing with team building, right? If you
Mhm.
have a room full of like, idea thinkers, but they're lacking in productivity and results, well, let's figure out what's going on with the leadership. Or let's
Right.
say, as you climb the corporate ladder, as you gain more success, stress goes up. Well, what's happening with your boundaries? So
Mm.
one of the CEOs I've worked with, she runs a $55 million company and they're pioneers in the healthcare space. And she was promoted from co-CEO to CEO. There was a lot
Mm.
of identity work that actually needed to be around all that. And so we had a conversation and she's like, I don't know if I want this. And I said,
Mm.
well, I'm curious what part of you is saying that. She said, the part that's scared, I'm going to screw it up. Because the higher you go, the harder you can fall. And
Yep.
you're in the spotlight. And there's a lot of silent pressure that comes with that. So we're kind of releasing some of the pressure. We're managing mental health. We're diffusing the stress that happens, big financial swings,
Hmm.
costly mistakes, hiring and firing, private funding, and the nervous system is leading the collective group, your
Yeah.
nervous system.
Hmm. We say, congratulations, you're CEO. Now everything matters. Like how you behave, how you react, all
Mhm.
of that. And I think your point about as you grow, complexity goes up and the opportunity for big mistakes goes up. It's interesting.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we do CEO peer groups,
Mm.
because building an infrastructure like that around you as the complexity goes up helps you avoid mistakes. Because other
Hmm.
people, they go, hey, whoa, I did this misstep before and I screwed it up. You don't want to do what I did. And maybe it's the group therapy to your one-on-one work almost, right?
Yeah, well, it normalizes the stress. Like the
Yeah.
higher you go to, the smaller the group gets. And
Mhm.
so normalizing those fears, like a lot of people, when they hit a certain level of success on paper, feel like they shouldn't have those fears or upper limits anymore. But the truth is, they're just different and the problems evolve. Now you have people
Yeah.
problems, you've got bigger financial issues, right? Higher overhead if you're a founder to maintain a bigger portfolio of real estate. I mean, they're rich people problems, but they're still stressful.
Yeah. Well, I tell people, I when I was running big companies in particular, I slept a lot less than the people working for me because I was thinking about all the problems
Yeah.
and even worse when you had to terminate somebody. Nobody sleeps the night before, not unless they have
Yep.
a heart, unless they don't have a heart, which, hopefully everybody does. So, yeah,
Yeah.
the stress is real. Have you ever had, so now you focus particularly on women in your
Hmm.
work, which is great. Why did you choose to do that? Because I'm going to tell you, like, dudes have this problem too, right? Like,
They do.
so why have you decided women is your particular focus area?
Yeah, well, we have the variable, which is that we can make babies and be moms. And
Mhm.
that's a big variable. And I don't think that many women have a lot of female leadership to look to. I mean, myself included, when I first started in corporate, every single boss I had was male, which is
Yeah.
great. They were awesome bosses. I loved all of them, but they just can't understand what it's like to also carry a baby and have your body change in front of everybody and then kind of be up against this duality of, well, how do I be a working mother, which feels like an oxymoron? I was raised with a mom that was a stay-at-home mom in Hackettstown, New Jersey, as you and I have
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about. And so I'm comparing myself to, well, I'm a bad mom if I hire a nanny and get help, but I'm like, compared to what? So there's just a lot more identity shifts that women have to go through if they're a working mom, if they've retired their husband, if their husband's on payroll, if they're a founder. Now we're talking about kind of changing traditional roles in the marriage. How do we maintain kind of the sexy time and all of the things that come with healthy polarity in a marriage now when you're the breadwinner?
Yep.
It's just a very different conversation and another silent pressure and stressor for them.
Yeah. And I think that level of fluidity is tough for people, right? Particularly when we grew up, our
Mhm.
our upbringing defines some modeling. And I think, leadership is
100%.
ultimately about modeling.
Hmm.
So that's why we like peer groups because you can model other CEOs. But to your point, if I never saw a female CEO or worked for one, who am I going to model? I never saw somebody do what I want to do.
Yep.
So I'm not going to be like the guys. Now what,
Well, and
right?
that's the thing you learn. Like my dad was incredibly successful. He spent 9 years putting himself through night school at Fairleigh Dickinson, and he showed me what's possible. But
Yeah.
I had male mentorship, and I was like, well, I can't be like the men. I'm not a man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I still am looking for female leadership, and It's few and far between the women that model it in a more feminine way.
Well, and I was just going to go there because I think that's a real
Hmm.
struggle, right? There are women that go more masculine in their energy, and
Yeah.
they get all the bad names, right, around
Hmm.
that.
Yep.
And yet, if you want to maintain some level of feminine energy, how are you effective? It's a real
Yeah.
challenge. I mean, it totally is. I've
Yeah.
seen it.
Yep. It's like quiet power,
Yeah,
soft leadership. You're not letting people walk all over you, but how do you do it in a more conscious, intentional way that really allows your superpower of being a woman to shine through? And that's,
yeah.
again, a different conversation. And men, they don't get that. That's okay.
Well, we get it a little bit. We just can't never experienced it. We're not at
Yeah.
that level.
Yeah.
Another place we see this happen is when people are getting towards the end of their career. And I don't know if you've
Mm,
dealt with people in this, but there's such ego involvement in
mm,
the big job, whatever it was. And now I'm not going to be doing the big job anymore. I sold my company or I retired or whatever. There's a lot of pre-retirement or pre-sale work, I think, mentally to do to be ready for post.
mm.
And we've seen a huge amount of that, right? Because of the ego involvement. Have you ever had to deal with people sort of on the backside of things?
I haven't done
Yeah.
too much with exit and retirement, no, but I can imagine, finding a different sense of worth and value
Hmm.
is huge. But we also have to question, and I see this when we're actively building, from which place am I building? Is it from a wound of like, I didn't get enough attention and I just am dying to be seen under
Yeah.
the guise of impact? Or am I building from this place of I need to be heard and now I've got to do like times a bajillion, I'll work myself to the bone to do like from what place, like really true fulfillment? Like where does that come from? Like when is enough enough? I'm
Hmm.
reading The Psychology of Money. I don't know if you've read
Hmm.
that. And chapter 3 talks all about what enough means
Yeah.
and
Yep.
knowing within yourself how to contend with that. How do you
Yes.
know when you've arrived at enough?
Interesting. We always tell people that are leaving a business, because they're selling or whatever, like be sure you're not running from something. Make sure you're going to something that's positive,
It's
right?
great.
That maybe it's similar to the wound thinking, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, when people really are unconscious here, like they're in that horrible stimulus response, fight, flight, what kind of negative behaviors do you see that are like the markers to say you still got some struggles you're working through? And I want to do this
Yeah.
because maybe people listening will go, "Oh my gosh, she's describing me." I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe. So help us understand when we're in this mode.
Yeah, we put together this framework actually. It's our leadership archetypes. There's 8 of them,
Hmm.
and it's fight, flight, fawn, freeze. And if we're in
Say it
chronic
again. Fight,
fight,
flight.
flight, which is sympathetic dominant, meaning like go, go, go all the time, hustle. A lot of us know those spaces. Fawn and freeze. Fawn is like people pleasing, placating, trying to say the right thing, being the chameleon,
Hmm.
at the cost of yourself, micro betraying, not listening to yourself. And freeze response usually comes with grief or coming out of a heavy season, a numbness, a heavy avoidance. Um, and what I'll say is it shows up in health concerns, health
Mm.
issues. So body starts to break down. You're not getting sleep. You're getting chronic headaches. You're thinking it's aging. You think it's probably stress. And just because it's normal for you doesn't mean it's actually normal. So chronic stress states can't be maintained past a certain threshold, or the body starts to break down. So clenching the jaw, grinding teeth, um, yeah, just how stress patterns show up in the body. So those are a lot of the ways we see it. Also being disenchanted with work. I don't think functional freeze is talked about enough, where we see people going through the motions, but they're exhausted as a result and
Yeah.
barely getting by, but just kind of going through it. And they're constantly at the core of it, just all overriding their nervous system. They're not really
Yeah.
listening to what the body needs.
Now, does that just tell you that I'm doing the wrong job? I mean, we always talk about for entrepreneurs in
Mm-hmm.
particular, like your energy is the most important thing to protect. And so if something
Yeah.
drains you, you should find a way not to do it or have
It
somebody else
could
do it
be.
for you.
It could be. Sometimes we're at an upper limit, and sabotage is wrapped with a pretty bow and rationale. Like my
Uh-huh.
CEO that said, I don't know if I want this. I said, well, what part's asking? The part that thinks I'm going to F it up, And I'm like, well, if that part weren't there, would you still want it? And she's like, well, yeah. Okay, great. So you still want the job, right? Once we sorted that out. And sometimes we have to pay attention to what part is talking.
Yeah.
So it depends, is my answer.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, I don't want to give like a general blanket statement because sometimes it will feel like alignment isn't always comfortable.
Hmm.
And sometimes you're growing, and that's also uncomfortable.
You made me think about the comfort thing. And I think in leadership, you cannot ever really be truly comfortable because the minute you're right, the minute you're comfortable, you're running a pattern
Mhm.
because it's comfortable and you're missing either opportunity or risk or bringing the right people on the team because I like working with these people, but they don't drive us to another level. So this kind of constant state of discomfort is what you're describing, and then becoming
Mhm.
comfortable with that discomfort.
Well, and that's how we grow. And it's liminal space. It's the space between where we've
Yeah.
been and where we're going. If
Yep.
you can get more comfortable with that and a lack of certainty, the faster you'll get through it.
Interesting. You know, stress response, I
Mhm.
always think about this, and I actually wrote an article about it a while ago.
Mm.
A similar amount of stress, and it's sort of a fragility comment, right? Some people can take a certain amount of stress and they're like maxed out, redlined, hair falling out, like it's
Yep.
horrible. Other
Yeah.
people take that amount of stress or work and they go, another day at the office, no big deal. And so it feels like there's an intrinsic capacity that people come to the table with.
Yes. And that's what we call their window of tolerance. Like you have one and I have one. And I'll liken the nervous system like window of tolerance, which is like
Mm,
what feels tolerable to be with. To your point, it's like some people have like a little bit and they're like losing their mind, and somebody
yeah.
else can seemingly handle the high highs and the low lows. It's a testament to their capacity for stress.
Mm.
And so some people have maybe like a shot size, window of tolerance, while somebody else has like a giant pint glass, for example. And so part of our work is in rewiring their ability to handle more capacity so that, because you know what? Things are going to happen, right? Like bad things happen, investments go south, partnerships blow up. We're not immune to that, but our response and our reactivity is what gets to change over time. And it's the measure of success in the nervous system.
So is that window, where does that window come from? Is it I was loved as a child, or is it genetic, or is it what gets
Mm-hmm.
people? And what I'm really after is, wouldn't it be cool if you could hire people with big windows,
That would be
right?
so cool.
So I could
I
figure
love
this out
that.
when
We
I
should come
talk
up
to
with,
them.
yeah. Yeah. We need like a test or something, like how to test your employees, your new hires for your capacity.
Right? The Kerry Jim Index. I'm in. Let's do this.
Great. It'll be like the next wealth dynamics or something.
Because wouldn't it be cool if like you can just
Yeah.
load the team up and they're like, yeah, no problem, got it, boss. Let's go. How do you help? How do you assess that, or do you just have to
Yeah.
stress them and then you find out? How do you find it?
I mean, you could ask a series of questions that ask about basically reactivity. Tell me
Mm,
about the most stressful thing. Describe the most stressful day. And then you can kind of
mm.
see and gauge them. They're like, oh, I broke my pencil. And you're like, okay, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, that's not very stressful. We're going to go
Th-
with you have a low capacity,
Thanks for
right?
coming in. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Nice to meet you. There's
Yeah,
the door.
yeah,
And so, yeah, I think you can ask a series of questions that kind of reverse engineer the outcome you're hoping for,
yeah,
to test that. You can also see how much money, how much financial capacity they have to hold. So, for example, this $55 million CEO had never done private funding. In less than 4 months, I helped her go from $0 to private funding of 5 million, 5.5, right? She was able to hold that as the leader, as the face of the company, as the person leading that private fundraising.
right.
And so that's a testimony to some of the capacity work that she was doing. And it didn't go away, right? So how they hold it, what the patterns are over time,
Yep.
longevity. If
Hmm.
if you see them come in and they have high highs in their career and low lows, it's like, what's going on here with
Mm,
capacity and ability to hold things?
yeah,
Um, so we're just born with a capacity, but then our parents model that.
yeah,
So if we have a parent um, that has a low capacity, we are really likely to have a low capacity as well, because they didn't teach us how to be with big emotions. They didn't teach us it was safe to come to them with things. And we learn they're the nervous system we attune to,
yeah,
like up until we're about 7, 8, 9,
yeah.
right? And so we don't know how to regulate at that point. And if we're regulating using their nervous system and they are not regulated, we're mostly dysregulated adults. So that's a very narrow window of tolerance.
And that gets established under 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Woof.
Yep.
Okay, we're all out of luck. Whoever's listening here, you're out of luck. You got what you got.
Yeah. And it's like, I'll have people come to me and they're like, I've done so much therapy. I've healed my stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I'll just wait till we get started because I promise you something's probably going to come up. I'm sorry, but it's also necessary because they think they've done it because they've talked about it. But cognitive behavioral therapy only addresses that 10%, right? And we do everything under the hood that's still dictating our behaviors and our patterns and our stories, going all the way back to how our body responds when we see that blue car.
Interesting. You know, I used to listen to Zig Ziglar when he was alive, love Zig, and he had a comment about reacting versus responding to a situation. And he goes, if the doctor gave you medicine and you go, Keri, I got some bad news, you're reacting to the medicine. You go, oh no, we're in trouble, right? If you go, good news, you're responding to the medicine, there's positive. So in a given situation, do you react or respond? Very different sort of mental state depending on what you see. And it gets to this window, I think.
Yeah. I think the leaders that are going to be the most successful here in the future are the ones that are going to be able to metabolize stress faster, right? And maintain a level of sovereignty while doing so. I mean, our nervous systems were just not made to have the exposure that we have on a global scale to social media, all the things that have gone wrong in the past 5 years, which has felt like level 8 of Jumanji. It's like, who signed us up for this craziness?
I know. Our poor little caveman brains can't handle it, right?
Exactly. And so we have to be mindful even more so of the input we receive. What are we recording into our body and our brain?
Yep, fascinating. So who are sort of the perfect people for you to work with? Like when you're looking for somebody and you go, you and I should be working together. What does that person look like?
CEOs as well. I see that you focus on CEOs.
Yeah, we do.
Most of the time, founders. I really love the creative juice behind a founder. They think different. They move different. I love that. They're the dreamers, the world changers. They have got big impact and influence. And so scaling for me really looks more like working with the people in the high council and watching this work infiltrate through them, the teams they lead, the kids they're raising, the generations beneath them. And sometimes we still get, executives and CEOs and C-suites in there too. But if you're just holding a lot of stuff, you're at the top and your circle's narrowing, you're not alone in that. And it's really nice to not feel so alone. And so that's really where our private advisory comes in.
Got it. Awesome. Well, that's great. What do you do for fun, Keri?
I love movies.
Yeah.
Big movie geek. We actually just saw the opening of Jurassic Park 4 because we watched all the old ones in order, they're just so good.
Yeah.
And then we watched Star Wars. So love movies, anything creative. I was an art major actually at Delaware. So museums, and then the beach, travel, anything that gets me out of this environment, which is fun, but creatively stimulates me somewhere else.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
And if people wanted to get a hold of you and engage you or talk to you about possibly working together, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah, everything from our founders and investors dinner events to our in-person retreats and one-on-one is on elevatewithkeri, KERI.com.
Awesome. Well, this was a lot of fun. Very, very fascinating. Really deep mental and physiological work to get great outcomes. Really interesting. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Jim. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. And for those of you listening, thank you for joining us on the CEO Project Podcast. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening to the CEO Project Podcast. We'll see you next time. Be sure to subscribe to get all the future episodes and check out our website, www.theceoproject.com.